Greetings and welcome. I'm going to continue my series on Gehazi. I think we're on like video 4 now. Yeah, right. So we're going to continue with 2 Kings chapter 5 and verses 25 to 27. So that's where I'm going to continue. So yeah, when we left off last time, Gehazi's talking to Elisha's asking Gehazi like, where have you been? Um, And as always, Gehazi has to lie. Um, let's see. So yeah, 2 Kings 5:25 says, "But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went no whither." So right there, he's already lying. So if you know the story, I think, yeah, if you watch the previous videos, you'll understand the story where, he's lying. He went to Naaman, he got, he lied and got some gold and some clothes. And then he obviously didn't tell Elisha that he was doing this. And so Elisha's asking Gehazi, like, where have you been? Kind of like, there's a lot of parallels in the Bible. You can kind of see references. It's kind of like when God is asking Adam, it's like, where have you been? And then it's like, he's like, oh, I couldn't talk to you because I'm naked. And God's like, how did you know you were naked? It's like, if you didn't eat off the tree, you wouldn't have known. So it's like, God sometimes does that. He's going to ask you questions like, where have you been? And God already knows the answer. So don't try to lie to God. He already knows the answer. It's like, what have you been doing? So he's going to ask these questions. It's almost like it's sort of like a rhetorical question, really, because Elisha knows the answer. God told him. God told him what Gehazi's been up to. He said, Thy servant went no whither. And he's still lying, so it just lies upon lies. Like he lied to Naaman several times, and then now he's lying to Elisha, because like if you start lying, you have to keep adding lies to make your lie work. So this is really what's going on here. Verse 26, it says, And he said unto him, Went not mine heart with thee, when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maidservants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. Wow, so that's quite a serious curse right there. Um, so, like, Gehazi was trying to, get something out of it, out of the ministry. It's like, like I said in the previous video, you don't want to be a hireling or a mercenary. God's gonna bless you, and just accept that. You're gonna serve the Lord, and if you don't get physical blessings out of it, then then like don't expect them. But if the Lord blesses you, great. The Lord will take care of you. He'll take care of your needs, not your wants, but your needs. So, but Gehazi, he's being greedy here. He's trying to get something out of this, and it's not like he did anything anyway. He's just standing there with Elisha. Um, Elisha's the one that did all the work, and he said, "I don't want anything." But Gehazi's like, no, 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 no. Like Naaman's too rich. We have to get something out of this. Always trying to get something out of the situation, some kind of reward. So he thought he was going to do great, and sin always takes away more than it gives you. So this silver and this clothes, it didn't mean anything at this point. So Elisha literally cursed Gehazi, and he turned into a leper. It says as white as snow. So the curse that was on Naaman, that he got healed of, that went on Gehazi. Basically, God does stuff like that a lot. Just like what they call like poetic justice. And he just this is what happens. He gets cursed, and like I said, sin's always going to take away more than he gives you. It's like all the other guys I mentioned, Achan, Esau, Judah, whatever they got, it was nothing. Like it didn't give him any joy. It was just some temporary greed, and it was just some high, and that's it. It's gone. And but the curse is much worse than whatever the benefit of doing the sin was. And so, like right here, it says Gehazi got cursed. And see, just a reminder, like your rewards are up in heaven. If you get too caught up with this world, it's gonna bite you in the back. It's gonna stab you in the back, and it's just things are not gonna work out the way you think. Like Gehazi didn't think any of this was gonna happen. He's like, he thought, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm gonna get away with my lie, but you can't lie to God. And so Elisha here, through God, curses Gehazi. So basically, every video up until now is just kind of detailing his character, and finally, we're getting to the point where he actually ends up reaping what he's been sowing all this time, and it doesn't happen overnight. You're not maybe not necessarily going to get immediately punished, but you keep building up all that sin over the years, and eventually, God's just gonna beat you over the head, and like that's what's gonna happen, and like. Gehazi pays for his sin right there in one moment for all that greed. So his sin eventually caught up with him. Okay, so I'm gonna read a few more verses, just like talking about like what's going on here. So I'm gonna go back to 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 5. So we're gonna go back earlier in the passage. I'm gonna read. I already mentioned this, but I'm gonna read like. What Naaman was willing to give up to get cured of this leprosy. The same leprosy that is now in Gehazi. Like, how difficult. It is so much more difficult to get that sin off of you than it is to just do right in the first place. It's better just to do right in the first place because it's so much more difficult to change, to get rid of that sin later on. So 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 5, it says, "And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed, and took with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, and thou mayest recover him, of his leprosy." So yeah, he actually went to the king first, and if you read the story, you'll see that the king was like shocked, like, what am I supposed to do? And then Elisha's like, whatever, I'll take care of it. So right here, like Naaman was going to give up a lot. Naaman's master actually was willing to give up a lot of stuff to get Naaman healed. That's the cost of sin. He was willing to pay that much to get that off of him, which is Gehazi, the same leprosy that's on Gehazi now. And that's how hard it is to get rid of sin. Now, Naaman lucked out. Elisha took nothing from him. It was free, a free gift. Just like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ doesn't accept any, he doesn't need anything from you. It's free. Naaman dipped in the water, the sin got off of him. The leprosy, leprosy is basically, a type of sin. If you look at it figuratively, and it didn't cost him anything. It got off of him for free. He just dipped in the water. That's it. He got healed. He dipped in it like 7 times. And Gehazi has that sin on him now. And is he going to get cured of that leprosy? I don't know. I have some more verses talking about Gehazi here, about his life, and whether he got right or not, it's debatable at this point. We don't really know. Did he get right, or is he bitter? And so I have a few more verses to read, kind of like what happened afterwards. But here, that sin, it's so deep. It takes away so much, and people are willing to spend a lot, put in a lot of effort to get that off of them. And it's better just not to get into that place, to be in that condition in the first place. So now Gehazi is in that condition. He does have that leprosy, and it just took away more. And now that he's a leper, he can't be with Elisha. He got kicked out because if you're a leper, you're not allowed to be around other people. You're sort of like you're an outcast. And so now Gehazi lost his standing. He was like Elisha's right-hand man, and he just lost all of it. So sin takes away so much more than you could ever imagine. If you're short-sighted, you will not see what sin can do to you. You know, people only look at the immediate, like, well, what am I getting out of this now? They don't look in the future. They don't look at the consequences 5, 10 years down the road or more about like what this is going to do to them. So that's what happened to Gehazi. So he lost the standing. And this can happen to anybody. This can happen to any Christian. Doesn't matter what your standing is in church or how long you've been a Christian. Anyone is susceptible to falling like Gehazi and falling down. If you're not careful, if you do not stay close to the Lord, this can happen to you. This can be you. This can be anybody. So I'm going to continue reading here about the aftermath of all of this a few chapters later in 2 Kings chapter 8. So if we go to 2 Kings chapter 8, let's go to 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 4 and 5. So 2 Kings chapter 8, verses 4 and 5. And the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, Tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elisha hath done. And it came to pass, as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son, whom Elisha restored to life. Okay, yeah, and there's more to that story before. So it's kind of interesting. This is sort of like an aftermath situation. And so this is several years down the road. In my notes here, I wrote that it was about 7 years, maybe 9. I don't know the exact time frame. I don't remember how I actually got those numbers, but here I have it written down that it was about 7 years later, or about 9 years later. So this is several years down the road. And so good luck, so Gehazi's talking to the king, and he's telling these stories about how great Elisha was. And now, so there's a few things you can kind of like read into this. So if Gehazi's talking to the king, then I don't think he's a leper anymore, because if he's a leper, he shouldn't be he probably isn't going to be in the king's presence. The fact that he's talking to the king means maybe he got restored. Like, I mean, talking to the king, that's not something anybody can just do. So it is possible that it does seem like he got right. It does seem like Gehazi got right. And perhaps, I think he lost that leprosy. That's what it seems like. So it seems like he lost his leprosy. He's talking to the king. So I think I'm going to read into this. I'm going to say that I assume at this point in time, it looks like Gehazi has become a much more humble man. That's just what it seems like to me. So he's talking to the king, and he's talking about like Elisha and all the great things Elisha did. So although he got right, and maybe he is doing good things now, Gehazi, he did lose that opportunity. Perhaps Elisha was doing all these great works, and Gehazi wasn't with him throughout all of that. He lost the opportunity to see all of that, to be a part of that. And lost time cannot be, you can't get back lost time. Once you've lost it, that's it. It's gone. You can't go back in time. All you can do is make the best of the current situation and try to do right. And it does look like, so Gehazi lost some time, probably several years, but he did eventually get back. And he still lost opportunities. He lost opportunities that he can never get back. Even though he can do maybe good things now, he lost those opportunities in the past with Elisha. And if you're away long enough from the Lord, it might be hard to get back. Gehazi it looks like he got back, but unfortunately, a lot of Christians, I don't think they get back. They get out of church, they just stop going, and they just go down this hole. They just keep falling further and further, and they just can't see the light of day at that point. They don't know how to get back, and some never get back. When the pandemic broke out, like 2 years ago, I think some people were just using that as an excuse to not go to church, and They were already weak. They were already weak Christians. And that was the final straw. At that point, it's like, yeah, I don't have to go to church anymore. We have to, we have to be safe. We have to be safe, and that's it. And they used every excuse they could to not go to church, pandemic. And even when things got better and they said, hey, yeah, you can go to church, just, wear a mask or, just, we need to fellowship, right? At that point, people already got used to not going to church. And I think Satan did quite a number on the body of Christ during these last 2 years. Some people are just, I don't think they're ever going to get back to church. And it did a lot. Yeah, it did a lot. Some of these events in history, they do a lot, and I think that did something. People just got used to sitting at home now. But so you have to be careful. You have to guard your heart. You have to guard your heart against sin, against wickedness, against weakness. And you need God to uphold your heart, because you're much weaker than you understand. Like I don't think most people understand just how weak their heart is, how weak their discipline is. Without God, you're just gonna fall apart. Like you're just not gonna last. And so Gehazi here is relating, is talking about Elisha, who's saying these great things, and I know Gehazi still has respect for him, but the thing is, Gehazi is not talking about his accomplishments. I mean, obviously you don't want to be proud and arrogant, but he's only able to say what other great men did. He's able to say how great of a man Elisha was. But does he have his own accomplishments? Did he do anything for the Lord? I mean, he was a right-hand man. That was something. If he had been alongside with Elisha, he could have been doing something. And some people, did they just play a support role? You're not supposed to be in the lead, right? You're not in the front. Not everybody's a pastor, not everybody's a missionary. But Gehazi here, he lost all those years of fellowship, and he was only able to say the great things that Elisha was doing. He wasn't able to say anything about what he did, because he lost all those years. He lost those opportunities that, like I said, you'll never get them back. You can only look for new ones if you've lost past opportunities, and you can only look for something new. You can only make the best of what you have. You can make the best of your current situation. Try to redeem whatever was lost to some extent, So yeah, that's the sad part here. And this woman, it's kind of interesting that she just walks in, and she had some other problem about land, and so she just happens to be there at that time, and she probably remembers Gehazi here, and it just kind of sad. Like, yeah, he got right, which is great, because otherwise, he could have just as easily fallen apart, and and he wouldn't have been there. But the fact that he's talking to the king, I would like to think that he actually got right at the end. So just know that there's always a chance to get back. No matter how long it's been, as long as you're alive, there's always a chance to get back. So yeah, so this is gonna be the last video in this series, kind of like to wrap it up. So kind of this video is on what Naaman sowed and what he ended up reaping at the end. So yeah, anyway, in conclusion, you want to keep your eyes on the right things. You want to look far into the distance, because if you're going to be short-sighted, you're not going to make the right decisions. If you're just going to make it on what you see now, you need to see the future. You need to ask God to give you farsightedness, spiritual farsightedness, to look into the future, to know what you have to do. So things that might not bear fruit now, but they will bear fruit in the future. Good things, rather than wickedness. If you sow wickedness now, it'll bear fruit in the future. It might not bear fruit right now, but in the future it will. So yeah. So anyway, just know this. Like I said, all this backsliding, it will get you. It will get you eventually. You're not gonna get away from it. Your sin will bear fruit. Just like your good deeds will bear fruit, your sin will also bear fruit. So anyway, I think I'll end it there. Just remember to redeem the lost time. I'll end it there. The next video, my next series will be on Ezekiel, which I think will also be uh, an interesting biographical sermon as well. So that's probably going to be another few videos. Yeah, all of these seem to last a few videos, so I have enough to last me. Oh, I think a few more months before I'll run out of ideas. So, I'm going to keep posting. Hopefully, I get more viewers. We'll see what the Lord does. So yeah, see you. I'll see you next time.